Helen sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the pregnancy test in her trembling hands. The two bold lines stared back at her like a miracle she'd stopped believing in. Tears welled in her eyes, not just from joy, but from the memory of 15 long years of heartbreak and relentless pain. Helen and John had married young, full of love and ambition. They built a beautiful home together, filled with laughter, warmth, and dreams of the children they would someday raise. But the children never came. In the first few years, Helen brushed off the questions with optimism. "It'll happen when the time is right," she'd say with a smile. But as the years passed, the smiles faded, and the questions turned to judgment. John's family was the first to show their frustration. His mother, a stern woman who believed grandchildren were a woman's ultimate proof of worth, made no effort to hide her disappointment. "Maybe you're not trying hard enough," she had told Helen one Christmas, her voice laced with disdain. "Or maybe you're just not meant to be a mother." Helen cried herself to sleep that night, while John, silent and distant, slept on the couch. The pressure began to strain their marriage. John tried to stand up for Helen at first, but the weight of his family's expectations wore him down. He became quieter, avoiding conversations about the future. The man who once held Helen's hand through every storm now seemed to be slipping away. Helen tried everything: fertility specialists, expensive treatments, endless prayers. Every time a procedure failed, it felt like a fresh wound. She endured countless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was broken or if John secretly resented her. John's family grew bolder with their accusations. His sister once told Helen, "If you truly loved him, you'd step aside and let him have a child with someone else." Those words haunted Helen, even as John dismissed them. But she could see it in his eyes, the doubt, the exhaustion. By the 15th year, Helen was exhausted. She considered leaving the marriage, not because she didn't love John, but because she felt she was holding him back. Yet, something kept her grounded. Maybe it was hope, or maybe it was stubbornness. One cold evening, after a church service where she'd been singled out for a prayer session, Helen knelt by her bed. She was too tired to pray long, so she whispered, "God, if you see me, please, let me know this pain is not for nothing." Months later, when the first signs of nausea appeared, Helen dismissed them as the flu. It wasn't until her best friend urged her to take a test that Helen found herself holding the proof in her hands. She sat John down that evening, unsure how he would react. When she finally blurted out the news, his eyes widened in disbelief. "You're serious?" he whispered. Helen nodded, tears streaming down her face. John pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as they both cried for what felt like hours. The pregnancy wasn't easy. Helen was monitored closely due to her age and medical history, but every hurdle felt like a victory. When their daughter was born, John held her first, his hands shaking as he whispered, "You're finally here." They named her Grace, a reminder of the unearned blessing they had waited so long for. In the years that followed, Helen forgave John's family, though the scars of their words never fully faded. What mattered now was the life she held in her arms, the proof that hope, even when it feels impossible, can lead to miracles. Kindly subscribe to our channel to see more true life stories.